the counter punch.
Welcome to Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Ekpo Tempolo. On the show today, River Supers records tough loss in Basketball African League. Usyk versus Fury rematch gets a new date, and in football, Olympiacos set new record in the Conference League final. Details of this and many more will be yours in Ajifi.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Telling him not to counter punch. Telling him not.
All right, welcome back from that break. But just joining us, it's the Breakfast Sports Show here on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, I have joining me this morning, Emmanuel Michael, as usual. Welcome, bro.
Yeah, good morning, Temple, and good morning to our viewers out there.
All right, quickly, let's start with some handball news this morning. As in preparation for the Paris 2024 Olympics, the Nigeria Wrestling Federation has commenced a training camp for wrestlers yesterday in Yanagwa. This is major. I know that if there's a department or a federation that will commence preparation, should be wrestling, and they know how to do it at this time.
Yeah, this is the reason is very simple, because the man at the helm of affairs truly knows his onions. Talking about the sport commissioner in his state, they're out there. I think having won the shoe in the past, he actually knows where he pinches, and that is why he's making preparation in NS, so that we will give our wrestlers that latitude of time to be able to prepare proper, because the Olympic game is not just a game that we just go out there without preparation and you hope to achieve a proper result. So that is why Daniel Igali, the head of the top sport out there, is making everything possible to ensure that our athletes have the proper preparation before heading into this very one, because he's one man who truly understands the workings of wrestling out there. He has won it, he has been there before, he has won the shoe, he actually knows where it pinches, and he knows what you need to do if you want to get a positive result, and that is why he has deemed it necessary so that to open camp very early, so that most of the wrestlers that are qualified for this year's Paris Olympic game also have a proper preparation before jetting out to Paris, and that will enable them to perform better. So for me, I think other sporting federations will also take a cue from what Daniel Igali and the Wrestling Federation is also doing, so that we ensure that our contingent going for this year's Paris Olympic Games is not just going to go out there to make up the numbers, but to go there and also make a very positive impact out there.
Make a very positive impact out there, and of course that's what we crave for. We hope to see that come to reality. But while we talk about that, we hear that 6 athletes, 5 females, 1 male led by the team, Tokyo silver medalist, Blessing Oboroji to represent Nigeria in the wrestling event at the Paris Olympic Games, and this is very cheering if you are a lover of wrestling here in Nigeria. Away from that, President of the Nigerian Handball Federation, Samuel Ochewu, has confirmed that the second phase of the Handball Premier League will resume in October in Lagos. Phase 1 of the league came to an end on Friday 2 weeks ago, and we saw how it all ended. I think Friday last week, not even 2 weeks ago, last week it ended. And Touching Marine Academy, Safety Babes, and they were the leaders of the first half of the Handball League.
Yeah, the first phase actually went very successful, where we have Toje Marine also dominating out there, winning all their games, remaining unbeaten so far. And for Safety Babes in the female category, they are also doing exploits out there. So for me, I believe that they are waiting for the second phase to kick off so that they can continue from the fine start they have started so far. But one thing very interesting about this year's handball league is that it's been very, very okay, you want to say, security-wise, organizationally-wise. I think they've been up and doing to ensure that they keep this, progression. Because if you take a look at the Handball Federation, I think this is the only federation that have never lack of sponsorship over the past couple of 2-3 years down the line right now. Unlike other sports that is always complaining about sponsorship, partnership and all of that. Despite the fact that it's not one of the most popular sports here in the country, but then they have also continued to maintain that standard over the years, as this year's Andover Handball League have actually, kicked off in a very positive way, and also, awaiting the second phase to us to continue from where they actually start. So for me, I think it's a great one. Good thing that the organizers have also, outlined their own schedule and programs out there, making sure that the calendars and the date is properly fixed, so that it will enable the clubs taking part in this very one to start preparing very well for the second phase of it. So for me, it's a big congratulations to the Handball Federation, a big congratulations to the team that is also leading in their own respective category, the male and female category, talking about Toje Marine and Safety Babe. So for me, great one. Great
one, and let's see how it goes. Ochewu has already talked about this, and preparation, of course, will be geared up for this particular one. We saw the media officer, talked about it some time ago when he joins us on the show, and we hope to get, as we prepare for the second phase of the league, we hope to get Ochewu live here to also tell us some more about activities of handball in Nigeria. And let's move over now to some interesting news, and this time around let's talk some boxing, as 2 Nigerian boxers have exited the ongoing road to Paris 24 Olympic qualifying tournament in Bangkok, here in Thailand. Ifeanyi Onyekwere suffered a point decision defeat against Dmytro Lochensky of Ukraine in the men's and plus 92 kg super heavyweight round of 32 earlier yesterday. Following suit was a Blessing Orakwe, who slumped to a unanimous point loss to Annie Hofsefen of Armenia in the round of 32 of the women's 66 kg class. This is not challenge for Nigeria, but we hope that they can pick. We can get others who will pick the ticket to still represent us in boxing.
Yeah, not a cheering one, because we should have we expected them at least to, start on a very positive note. But then, despite that, we still have about 3 names still left, and these 3 names are the hopeful that we are, banking, hoping that they are going to do the needful. The likes of Elizabeth Oshoba is in a fine form, Omotayo as well in a fine form. So we're still keeping our fingers crossed, hoping that the 3 remaining boxers is going to scale through so that they pick one or two tickets that is also going to see them at the Paris Olympic game. But I tell you, it's not a good one. It's not a good one. It's always very positive, very okay for us to start in a good footing. When you see, your first two athletes starting on a good footing, the remaining athlete also, draw inspiration from the positive start of the first two persons. But that is not the case as it stands right now. But then, like I said, there's still light at the end of the tunnel. There's still hope that two or three of them is going to, pick one or two tickets to make it to the Paris Olympic game.
I'm still talking boxing, and we hope that in the coming days we'll get to see how far it goes. The undisputed bout, heavyweight class between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury, the rematch is set to come up on the 21st of December. The news came out yesterday, and of course, the Saudi Arabians are already preparing for this particular one. We saw what played out in the first bout already, but this looks like a heavyweight undisputed clash that will live up to his billing, and many are already teething. But I was thinking that maybe we're going to get to see 1 year rest for the both boxers, but it looks like since more of the bargain is coming from the angle of Tyson Fury, he has more in the contract, so he determines what happens. Is that the case here?
Yeah, and for me, I know he's pained by that, loss to Alexander Usyk, and you listen to him just immediately after the game. He was talking tough. He said that for him, he thought maybe he won the match, but then I think it's just a statement of a sore loser out there. Seeing this, rematch clause being activated by him, I think it's a nice one. But I tell you, even if this match get to take place 3 good times, I'm still banking on Alexander Usyk, to do the needful, because looking at the form of Tyson Fury over the past couple of years right now, you say yes, he's not in the best form of his life, and that is why we saw him nearly being disgraced by Francis Ngannou before going down to the firepower of Alexander Usyk. So for me, I think he's pushing very hard to ensure that he reclaimed that glory, he reclaimed that fame, lost glory against Alexander Usyk. But I tell you, he should have taken his time out, possibly to prepare very well for this bout before, activating that rematch clause. But I think for me, he's pained by the loss and he wants to take a quick revenge, and that is why he has also activated, the clause. But I tell you, it's going to be a very big one. This is the kind of fight that most boxing fans across the globe look up to. How long we have waited for this very one before he actually came to fruition a few weeks ago, where he actually, decide to go to the ring and take on Alexander Usyk. Is it that he find one excuses or the other to run away from the match, but it was, a mandatory challenge, and that is why he had to pick it up. And picking it up, for me, I think he did not prepare properly for that very one, and that is why Usyk actually floored him. But then, good thing, he has also come out very strong to activate that clause out there. Let's hope that everything is going to go as planned in the rematch. We learned it's going to be in between December or thereabout. It's going to be a great one. We are keeping our fingers crossed, hoping that it's going to come alive at the appropriate time.
Hoping that it's going to come alive at the appropriate time, and that's what we expect to see. And I can tell you for sure that it would be, a feast, a strong fisticuff there between the both sides. And let's see where the pendulum will swing. But then, very far away from us now, we'll get to talk about a lot before the end. The Olympic will come proper. A lot of things will happen before that particular one. And I'm just wondering if it happens with that shape, the hype or the build-up. December is always a busy period, no doubt. But then, the Olympic would have come. The vibe, will it change the vibe, the narrative? If all these things happen, the Premier League will have even resumed and all that. So, will it give the hype we saw in this particular one, or it will even be bigger and better than the first bout?
I think it's going to be bigger and better. Looking at the timing, they are looking at December thereabout. Though the date is not official, neither the venue is officially out there. But then looking at that time, that Yuletide period where many people is always absorbed or consumed by the festivity of the moment, that is going to raise more interest from different sporting fans across the globe. So I think it's going to live up to the billing, despite the Olympic coming and other games starting in earnest. Premier League will be on by then and all of that. different sporting activity will be on. But I tell you, that doesn't take away the beauty, the hype of any boxing activity out there. We know it's a sport that many people are in tune with, and because of the hype that comes with it, and of course, some of the fighters, they are very instrumental in hyping some of these boxing matches because of their media stunts out there. They are always good in using their mouth to also promote their own dealings before any major fight out there. So for me, I believe it's going to live up to the hype. Looking at the timing of the event, that is December, like I said earlier, there is a period of festivity. Most people will come back wishing also to come and spend a good time with their family, and that relaxation mood will also help many people to key into that very one.
Let's keep our finger crossed on that one, and let's move on now. Ahead of preparation for this year's Olympic Games, the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports Development, I beg your pardon, Senator John Eno, will meet with President Secretaries and Technical Directors of the Olympic-bound federations as the ministry fine-tunes preparation towards this year's Olympic Games. And when I get to hear things like this, my heart is highly elated because it shows preparation from the side of the sports ministry.
Yeah, not only that, it also shows commitment, because if he doesn't have that commitment, he won't bother. He won't bother. He won't step out of his own office or comfort zone to go and try to partner or synergize with other federating units out there to ensure that they have a proper arrangement on how the Olympic contingent is preparing and their success. Take a total stock of what is to come and what has happened before. Do a total performance appraisal before and after the game, before jetting out to the Paris Olympic Games. So I think for me, the sport minister is doing pretty well. Since he came on board, I think he has been up and doing, walking around the clock, different, taking part in different meetings with stakeholders out there to ensure that he galvanizes the sport federation in a proper direction that he should go. I think for me it's a nice one, because there are so many persons that wouldn't even care about this kind of thing. During the era of Solomon Dalong, the khaki wearing sport minister then, who for me did nothing, little or nothing in the sporting federation until he left. He wouldn't bother about this kind of thing, but seeing this new minister, I think he's doing everything possible to ensure that at least he restored the glory and pride of Nigeria in the sporting world.
The program is exclusively focused on working with federations that have qualified to participate at the Olympics, and of course, not just participating, we just get to see how they also do. And one thing very striking here is that there's a deliberate attempt, like you said, and the laser focus will now be on how to achieve Nigeria's objective. But I ask, what are the objectives of the sports ministry in this year's Olympics?
It's very simple. He talked about some of the objectives. He said that he wants to put Nigeria back on track as one of the globally recognized sporting nation across the globe. Two, he wants Nigerian contingent in different sporting strata, heading for the Paris Olympic Game to surpass the 1996 achievement of our athletes out there, where they were able to rack up so many gold medals. These are some of the achievements. Then again, to ensure that proper welfare is taking place, as regard to some of the athletes that is going to represent Nigeria out there in the Paris Olympic Games. So these are some of the objectives that he mentioned, why he's working around the clock to ensure that things is properly fixed to place. And if you ask me, these objectives, are they tenable? Of course they are very, very tenable, because looking at his body language, his action is clearly pointing finger towards the direction that indeed he wants to restore the glory of Nigerian sport, and also ensure that our athletes are properly catered for. Then again, to ensure that we need to win gold medals in a large scale quantity when we get to the Paris Olympic Games. So for me, that is the objective according to the sport minister, and I buy into that idea, because if we do that, then we're talking of Nigeria bouncing back to become a force to be reckoned with in the global sports.
Of course, we'll get to see how that one plays, and one thing very striking is that all this preparation will lead to efficiency and ensuring that Nigerian athletes and federations live up to the hype and the billing of participating at this year's Paris Olympic Games. Away from that, let's talk some tennis now, and of course we'll start from the home ground, where President Calderano has sent a warning signal to Aruna and others as he prepared for the WTT contender in Lagos. So we saw how the Brazilian was able to claim the men's single title in his hometown, Rio de Janeiro, beating all the players there to win that particular one. So it looks like he's the star player heading to Nigeria for the second edition of the first WTT series in sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah, I think it's a wake-up call to other players here in Africa, not just in Nigeria, not just Haruna Quadri, but the likes of Adaguda, the likes of Meshref, the likes of
Omar Sarr.
They also need to step up. The likes of Haruna Quadri as well, they need to also step up, knowing that they have one of the best hands in the sporting arena of tennis coming down here to take part in this very one. It's a wake-up call for them, because if they don't actually step to the occasion, I tell you, he may come all the way from South America to do the needful here in the continent of Africa, which is going to be an embarrassing one for us, because we can't just sit back and allow such to happen. So for me, I think it's a challenge, and it's a big test for African players here this time around, but especially for Haruna Quadri to step up his game, knowing fully well that indeed we have a strong hand coming. But then if you take a look at the side of Haruna Quadri, I think he has regained that #1 ranking here in Africa because of his improvement by winning the ITTF a few weeks ago. Yes, he has also toppled, Omar Asa, who also was toppling him after the African game, all-African game out there in Ghana. So for me, everything is set. They just need to start working extra hard to ensure that they are on the top of their game before this man comes here to take part in the WTTF. And
of course, we'll see how that one plays out. One thing very important is that we all are going to be part of this series, and we hope to get that one done and dusted. And one thing very important is that we also need to be to prepare highly for what is to come. We saw how he gloriously started the scene. He lost last year in the early part of the same competition in Brazil, and he came strong. And the good thing about it is, it's not just only 1-2. As stands now, yes, because of his winning mentality, it looks like it's like normal tennis. We know sometimes some players are just high on the map. He exists in the world and beating some of the Asian guys. When you beat the Asian guys, because they are the hub of tennis. When you beat them, there is a tendency that you stand tall. And that was even when Haruna Quadri defeated Calderano some time ago, every person felt that he has arrived, when he's informed. So it's like pushing it hard, and for us, we are yet to break the chains of getting to beat the win major or some of these majors. But like you said, Africa, we need to prepare, because it doesn't sound very good getting to see hosting a program in Africa and then getting to see other stars, from Asia, other continent like the South America coming to pick and nick those titles. We need to rise above that. But let's talk what played out yesterday, and for the first time in a very long while in the French Open, defending champion had a battle that was indeed thrilling. She said the match point in that particular one before beating Naomi Osaka to avoid the earliest French Open exit of her career in the second game we saw yesterday. Everybody looked out for that encounter. It was thrilling, and I think the hype was just there. For me, I don't care whether Naomi Osaka exited the scene. Naomi Osaka put in a fight of career, and I feel that what I saw yesterday, if not for the fact that she was battling against the world #1, it would have been difficult for her to have exited the scene.
Definitely. When the pairing came out, she went to the media straight saying that it's going to be a pleasure playing against the world #1. Looking at the form of Iga Swiatek at this point in time, we want to say yes, it will take extra grace and extra fight for you to be able to, host out Iga Swiatek. Looking at her form over the recent years, I think it has been very, very phenomenal. But then the match, just like you say, live up to the billing. Everything that you wanted to see, the hype, everything you wanted to see in such a match that come with a whole lot of pressure came around yesterday. But for me, I think Naomi Osaka did her best. Coming back after maternity leave, putting up such fights against world #1 that have maintained the ranking for quite a long time. It's not an easy one. So for me, I truly give it to her. She did her best, just that her best weren't good enough. Looking at the quality of player that she was up against, Naomi Osaka. But then, for Osaka, this is what makes you a world champion. This is what makes you, to retain your #1 spot for a quite long time. They never say die, never say give up spirit, in her. Even when she was down, you can still see that passion in her eyes out there when she was, giving her serves. It was very, very intentional. She was very deliberate about fighting back, and she did that. She was able to, push, Naomi Osaka to the wall at a time where you think that it was all done and dusted. But then I think she came back very strong. So for me, big congratulations to both of them. But mostly to Iga Swiatek, who had to pull a surprise, comeback in that very one.
Indeed, a surprise comeback. Getting to see, her win finally 7-6, 1-6, 7-5. It was really surprising. And with this now, I just hope that she will continue to be motivated, because this is a sign that she needs to do everything possible. She must defend this particular one and follow the likes of Lennon, who have won it for 3 times since 2007. Let's see how it all plays out. But she wasn't the only one, on the court yesterday. But that game was played at the since it's world #1, she will play her game at the Philippe Chateas, court. And we also saw Onzaboa survive the scare. These days, when you talk about Onzaboa, it looks like just an ordinary name, because she has not lived up to expectation in recent time. But we saw what she did against Colombia, Camilo Osaro, to reach the 3rd round. For her, she was able to get a 6-3, 1-6, 6-3 win over the Colombian.
Yeah, massive one for Onjoboa. Many times we keep talking about the male success syndrome, haunting Onjoboa over the years. But then I think possibly this time around, let's hope that she's going to put that behind her and also fight to see if she can continue to put the name of Africa on the map out there, because this is the only notable star that hails from the shores of Africa, especially when you talk about the WTA. And she's been doing pretty well for herself. It's just that consistency is not there for Onjoboa. But then looking at the way she's progressing, I tell you, she needs to still work extra hard, because if she can also be struggling to beat an unseeded player like this, I think when she get to meet up with the likes of the big name, the likes of Aina Zabalenka, the likes of Coco Gauff, the likes of Iga Swiatek that we talked about earlier, it's going to be a very difficult one for Onjoboa. So in as much as she's doing pretty well for these 2 games that she has played so far, there's still need for an improvement for her if she truly want to go far in this French Open.
And let's see how it plays out. And one thing very striking is that we'll get to see what other activities that will be done. Later, also, we saw Coco Gauff beat Slovenian Tamara Zindensky 6-3, 6-4. This Tamara Zindensky caused an upset last year. We saw what she played out in that particular one, but Coco Gauff was very, very resilient in that particular one to get that win against the Slovenian. Also, we saw Carlos Alcaraz continue his, his comeback, rejuvenation, and dig deep to beat qualifier Jasper de Jong to reach the 3rd Open, the French Open 3rd round. And for him, he needs to win this particular one, because we saw how glorious he was last year. And I just hope that he will be able to get his hand on this again.
Yeah, for Carlos Alcaraz, let's hope that he's able to do the needful here. Carlos Alcaraz is a player that, over the past 2 years or a year right now, there is this talk about him being the new poster boy of the ATP, but many times when you repose your hope on him, he doesn't live up to the hype, and that is why we saw him being dethroned and pushed back to, #3 instead of #2 that he was, battling and shuffling, hoping to even catch up with Novak Djokovic at some point. But then we saw how Yannick Sinner, did the magic out there, and he was able to depose him. So for me, I still believe there is a lot of room for Carlos Alcaraz to improve on his game if we want to also, be up there with the likes of Novak Djokovic. We have other younger talent as well in the ATP that will be ready to give him a run for his money. The likes of Taylor Fritz, the likes of Dani Medvedev, Yannick Sinner, like I mentioned earlier, Stefano Tsitsipas. These are some of the big names that if he truly want to be very relevant for quite a long time, I think he needs to step up his game, because if he doesn't, I see the likes of this name that I've mentioned, coming to depose him, even push him further back, maybe to world number 6 or 7 thereabout. And when you begin to, feed the dwindling performance setting, then you are no longer a force to be reckoned with. Like I said, he's still very young. There's still much time for him to improve. But then, looking at the high hope and expectation seen on him in 2 years ago where he was blazing on, we thought, yeah, this is the man that is going to stop the monopoly of Novak Djokovic at some point. This is the man that is going to serve as a new face, as a poster boy of the ATP. But then, when the chips are down, he doesn't live up to that billing, and that is why he has remained, where he is. He has been very static over the past 2.5 years right now before he was finally pushed to the 3rd position by Yannick Sinner. So a lot needs to be done by Carlos Alcaraz if he truly want to remain or become a force to be reckoned with in the ATP.
A lot needs to be done if Carlos Alcaraz and some of the young stars needs to be the force that we hold the mountain and also the flag of tennis in years to come. And he will next face the American Sebastian Korda in what promises to be another clash of the Titan, who of course are Kwon Sung-woo of South Korea. Stefanos Tsitsipas, 2022 runner-up, and Andrei Rublev won their matches, but no play was possible on the outside court because of persistent rain. Some of the games yesterday, were suspended because of heavy downpour. But let's see how it all goes. And still talking about games to expect today. Novak Djokovic will be, on the court today, and same with Aryna Sabalenka, will be headline the court. Now, what this implies is for Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic, because they play on different days, they are on different map, so they can never meet each other. Okay, what it implies is that the only time they can meet each other is in the finals, if they get to the finals. And then clearly too, Aryna Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek will not meet each other until they get to the finals. So it's always going to be, you already anticipate that, okay, if you are good enough, get to the finals, let's meet there. And this is what it means when you are highly ranked, in the world of tennis. But he's going to be back. We saw what he did in the last time. I just hope that he gradually picks up, we've seen his near success syndrome. He gets to the semi-finals, and he has never been to the finals throughout the season,
yeah.
And this is not Novak Djokovic that we used to know.
Very shocking for me because, after taking some time out to rest, after the, the Australian Open, he took out time to rest, and he was able to select some of the game that he wanted to feature in, just like his usual routine. He doesn't take part in all of the game, and it has to do with any game that comes with 250 points or 500 points thereabout. It doesn't bother himself. But when you talk about the 1,000 points, be rest assured that Novak Djokovic is going to be there. But then, despite the fact that he has been able to, be selective in some of the games that he wants to take part, then when some of these games that he has taken part, he has not been at the best of his game so far. So for me, I think he's just having not a good season. I won't call it a bad one so far, but then he's not having a good season. Let's hope that he's going to use this French Open as a makeshift for him to regain that prominence, to regain some of the points. Because if he doesn't get to the final, I tell you, from projection and statistics right now, he will definitely drop to world number 2, and Yannick Sinner will definitely, topple him. And I know that he knows what is at stake, and that is going to even push him further to see if he can be able to maintain consistency in this French Open. Because if he doesn't, then and Yannick Sinner get to the final, automatically he will be dethroned as world number 1. And
Yannick Sinner also have to get to at least the semi-finals or finals,
yes.
For that to also happen. Let's talk about what played out at the Kigali Arena yesterday, where Ribas Fupas, were very magical, but against Al Ahly Libya in overtime, the fairy tale run of the Nigerian side came to a halt by the debutant. Not many were very happy yesterday, but then it's one of those things. I mean, when you get to see Nigerians doing so well at the level, yesterday was not a good day for sports here in River State, because we saw what played out in the FA Cup. Not very good at all. When I saw the result, I just I was sad in the spirit.
Yeah, not a good result for Rivers Hoopers, but I tell you, they must be holding their head very high. You saw the management shortly after the game in their locker room. He was talking to them, telling them, boy, you don't need to be, shy. You don't need to put your head down. You don't need to let yourself down. We just need to focus on the last game so that at least we'll feel everything you needed to do. It's just that it wasn't your day. We were following the game minutes after minutes yesterday, even while on air here in the studio. We were giving a minute-by-minute report because it was a highly contested game. The way Rivers Hooper started the game, we say it's not the best form because they lost the first set, second quarter, lost it in the third quarter. They tried to bounce back very soon. And the total first half ended in favor of the Al Ahly of Libya, where they actually were, toppling Rivers Hoopers rather, with 11 points because they were actually on 47 points, while Rivers Hoopers they were on 48 points, while Rivers Hoopers was on 37 points. So in the first quarter, but in the second half of the game, I think it started in a very, very promising, encounter where Rivers Hoopers came to the party, delivered the deliverables in the fourth quarter. They were able to, match up with the Al Ahly of Egypt and topple them. At some point in the fourth quarter, Rivers Hoopers were up by 63 to 57 against the Al Ahly of Libya. We thought maybe, yes, this is the point, this is the magical moment, this is the hour they are going to do the needful. But then, the game being what it is, the Libyans, they came back very strong to, equalize some of those points and also took the lead, and Rivers Hoopers continued to chase from behind, not until, the last minute of the game that Rivers Hoopers came back very strong. At some point, in fact, the second quarter of the game ended in 73-73. They had to go to overtime of the game, and in the overtime, allowed the Al Ahly of Libyans to draw blank and also took the lead, and they continued to chase from behind. Unfortunately, they could not get that final result as they fell to the firepower of the Libyans. What we want to say, yes, there are some calls which the coach talking about Ogo Dowd wasn't that comfortable. There were some fouls.
Yeah, exactly. The claim of foul not responding, the referee.
The referee didn't respond to it. So for me, I think despite all of those fouls and the fire cry, I think Rivers Hoopers gave a good account of themselves. It's just that this Libyan side, they are very, very strong, and you can't actually underrate them because for a team coming into the competition for the first time, defeating the favorite, the Al Ahly of Egypt, who is a defending champion. It's not.
I need to see the way I watched that game. Okay. In fact, in one of the channels, he said it's been showcased. They don't show it, but they preview it. Yeah. I took my time to watch how they beat, and I saw the way Al Ahly of Egypt started brilliantly, very strong. But how these boys came back is something that is unimaginable. And the point difference wasn't that much, so you see that it was a very tense game. But the guys knew what they wanted and they go for it. That was when I knew that it would take a long time. And they are very good offensive. So it takes a very strong defense, compact defense, to kill them. And that's what played out yesterday against Rivers Hoopers. Rivers Hoopers had a lot of defensive error. Yeah. And that also, came back haunting them.
Definitely. And that is the angle I talked about a few days before the game, because I had to look at the statistics of each player of the Al Ahly of Libya. They are very, very good. And they are very, very tall. It's another advantage for them. They are very tall. Almost all their players very, very tall, compared to our own players are there. And when you are very tall and you have a three-point chance to take out, you find it very easy to take some of those three-pointers out there because of your height. It's very easy for you to target the net and put it in the net. So for me, I think lack of concentration, lack of good and compact defense as well also was the major issue why Rivers Hoopers has to lose that very game. But then I think they've come a long way. This is the first Nigerian side that is going, that have gone this far in a BAL competition. I tell you, we've lost out, but we're not disgraced because at least we held our own head very high out there. But then I think it's also something positive. And if the Nigerian Basketball Federation will look at the exploit of Rivers Hoopers and try to improve on our league consistency, I think we are going to maintain that standard. Because come next year BAL competition, if any team get to pair or hear the name of River Supers, they will definitely accord us with that respect because they will say, okay, this is the team that got to the semi-final last season. They have built that fear factor in them right now. So we lost out, but we were not disgraced.
And one thing about Bali is that we get to see a lot of debutants making clear statement of intent. So win the bar is very easy. Just be consistent, just play your game and be very defensive.
Yeah.
I think that subsequently what the River Supers team needs to do now is to invest more. Imagine that we have the same feet and then for next year and we qualify. And then they are going to be part of the series. Get more defensive players that are defensively minded and imbued in them. I think we have what it takes. AS Duenes get to the finals last year, lost to Al Ahly. You know, Al Ahly themselves too also. I think that was the first time they were coming in. Okay, they were having part of it. But yes, after Zamalek won some time ago, and they came back and we saw what happened. So I think that if you just have a very good defensive setup, you know, you can win the basketball Africa. But it's not done and dusted. We need to see the game between Cape Town Tigers and Petro Luanda. Whatever plays up in that particular one will also matter. But let's talk the NBA this time, and let's hope that the Dallas Mavericks will nick one more game before it will be done and dusted. It's 3-1 now. You said the other day that you don't see them coming back, but Minister Timberwolves came back in that game 4, and it's 3-1 in favor. So game 5 will be decided. If Dallas Mavericks gets to win that one, then I'm sure there will be celebration in Dallas.
Yeah, looking at it, you know, mathematically, I think it is over because, you know, it is the best of 7 series.
Just one win.
Just one win.
It doesn't matter.
Even if they lost the next game, they just still need to win one game. So I think it's very, very dicey as it stands right now for you know, their opponents out there. I tell you, for Dallas Mavericks, it's just a matter of time. They are going to go to the final and lock horns with.
So, like you're thinking about the other team, but don't you think also that we can see a comeback?
No, the final, because like I said, it's best of 7 series as it stands. 4 games have gone down right now, remaining 3 games. So even if Dallas Mavericks get to lose the next 2 games, they just still need to win a game.
And that's the thing, if they don't win the other one, what happens? But let's see how it all plays out, and that's the beauty of sports. You can never say never. Very unpredictable. Anything can happen, but we think that with the you know, the pass, I mean, with the throws and the energy. And I don't think that the boys, you know, of course, the point margin wasn't that huge. So you know that something does happen that particular one, and they were able to get that one win. But a lot will play out in the next game. I think the next game comes up tomorrow, or early hours of tomorrow, and then the last game is on Sunday, the hours of Sunday. So keep our finger on that one. Let's go to a quick break now. When we come back, we'll just talk football. The other played out yesterday, and then what played out in the FA Cup, as well as in Europe, in the UEFA Conference League. Don't go anywhere. This is Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought a very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Driver, why you just dey jack us up and down like this now?
I hope nobody carry belle o.
Why you ask o?
Because this road wey you dey see so, e no guarantee safe delivery We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Roads so no dey, light usai, the infrastructure nko e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, well everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No vex, now my phone be like that. Hello?
And with broadcast support
Country, you suppose do things differently. Make Nigeria for better.
network.
Back for a revenge mission against Edo Queen after losing out on the women Super League out there. So for me, they truly deserve the reception that they're getting from Edo State government.
For the Edo State, I think that it doesn't matter whether whatever happened in that game yesterday. What they all wanted was this particular one, and I love the swift nature, the fastness of preparation for the CAF Women's Champions League, and I think it's a good timing for the ladies.
It's a way to go. It's a way to go because time waits for no man. You need to also maximize the time that you have. Do it as the situation demand at that particular point in time, so that they will also get along with the groove of the moment. Because if you allow it to stay for quite a long time, possibly the spices, the joy, will be taken off it. So for me, I think it's a nice one to follow, this hosting, with the timing of events, so that they can also go back and start, preparation for, what lies ahead of them.
And then in the women's FA Cup round of 16, we saw Bayelsa Queens played a one-on-one with Nasarawa Amazons, and the Amazons won on penalty 6-5. It ended. The last lady of Lagos lost to Remo Ladies of Ogun State 1-0. It ended in that game. Abia Angels, lost to Niger Rattles of FCT in the Benin City. Lost 7-0 to Delta Queens, and Sunshine's Queen defeated the Honey Badgers 2-0. Osun Babes played a one-on-one with Confluence Queen. And we also saw Osun Babe. Also, that game ended 1-1, and then it ended 4-3 on penalties in favor of Osun Babes. Edo Queens were thrashed by Rivers Angels clearly 1-4 in that particular one. So it looks like the parents are out. Nasarawa Amazons will play against Remo Star Ladies, Niger Rattles versus FC Robodia, Delta Queens versus Sunshine Queens, and then Osun Babes versus Rivers Angels. So these are mouth-watering encounter, and we'll get to see where it plays out. Let's move now to the main, where we saw Wiki Tourist. Yesterday we saw Wiki Tourist play at a goalless. Okay, they lost to FCC 1-0. KB United also defeated Aqua United. This one comes as a shocker yesterday. Economy Warriors defeated Shooting Stars 1-0. Ikorodu City played a one-on-one with Inter Lagos, and Inter Lagos won 5-4 on penalties. Kwara United played a one-on-one with Abia Warriors. Abia Warriors won 4-3 on penalties. Sokoto United all-start Eyimba Football Club and Sunshine Stars of AFCC will take on KB United. Economy Warriors versus Inter Lagos, and we'll go to see Abia Warriors versus Sokoto United, same as Sunshine Star versus Kano Pillars. These are a mouth-watering encounter in the quarterfinals in the present FA Cup. So the parents are out. First of all, your thoughts on the results of the men's game yesterday?
I think it's a game that lived up to everything you want to think about, where we saw some of the big boys being hosted out of the competition, the likes of Enyimba, the likes of Aqua United, the likes of Shooting Stars, the likes of Rivers United also hosted out of the competition. I think he's taking a very different shape right now, where we have some of the traditional team that you may want to say, yes, they are favorites, being hosted out of the competition. This is to tell you the level of competitiveness that we've seen in this year's, Federations Cup. And for me, I think we need this kind of competition within the system, so that some of these big names, some of these traditional names will also sit up, so that they don't think that you know, the minors in quote, they don't have anything to offer. So when you begin to see this kind of competition, I think it will also help them to buckle up come next season, knowing fully well that no team is here for play. All the team that is taking part in this very one are here to make a statement for themselves, and we've clearly seen that where some of the big boys have been tamed down. So for me, I think it's a healthy one.
Very healthy one, and let's see how it will play out. And lastly, on the show this morning, we saw what played out yesterday. Olympia, I mean, Barca have appointed Hansi Flick, no doubt. We're going to talk about that later when we come back on the show. But one thing very striking is that we saw the finals of the Europa